Hi,
Hi.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So, Mike messaged me and told me that he is in night class right now. And so he probably has to take a quiz or something, so he won't be able to make this rehearsal. So I was wondering, since your character doesn't come in till the second page, if you could read Mike's part for Bryce up
Yeah,
until we get to the second page, and then I'll read for Chris, so you have time to get ready for your character.
yeah, sure. So, you just want me to read for Chris for just the first page?
Yeah, and so when we hit the second page, I'll take over so you can work on your entrances and exits at the
Okay.
same time. You can keep your camera on when you're reading for Chris, so Bryce has somebody to work with as well. Cool.
Okay.
So gotta wait.
Larry committed suicide
Oh, that's right.
just knowing that it's a possibility. And I mean, what does that say about what Larry knows about his father?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think she obviously knows that. I think she may have like an idea, but I don't think that's what she's concerned about. I think it's
I,
mostly the other direction.
I agree. What do you think of Kate, the mom, Marisa?
I mean, obviously, like that was a childhood motherly figure, and then dated both of her sons. So obviously, it's a little weird now, and I think I'm like walking on eggshells around her and like uncomfortable around her.
There was a point in the play, the parts I did read, because I like skipped through. I did like the first half, and then I was like, you know what, I understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
But in the first half, Kate makes a comment to Anne and says basically that you've gained weight since you came back from New York. And it stuck with me this entire time about the relationship between Kate and Anne. Do they really like each other or not? And I was just wondering, why do you think she said that to you?
I think it's a jab. I think I remember reading that and I was like, that's fucking rude. Like,
Yeah.
why? So I think it's like she's one of those, like, I hate to bring it into modern days, but here I am. Like one of those Karens that's like, oh my God, hi, how are you? Oh my God, you gained a lot of weight. Like that kind of like
Mm-hmm.
passive aggressive attitude towards her.
I
But
think,
yeah.
yeah, I think you're absolutely 100% right, Kenzie. And I think that the reason why we have those Karens and everything is because usually they view them as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Kate
Yeah,
views you as a threat against
maybe.
finding out the truth or whatever. But what do you think of your newfound love, Mike, Chris?
Mm-hmm. I I love him a lot. Obviously, I think my character at this moment has like taken the time to like grieve Larry, and so now she's like ready to move on. But I'm sure that there's kind of like this like back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point in the scene, I think she's like, I made my decision. Like Chris is my dude. I love him and stuff like that. So
And finally, what do you think of your brother George coming?
um I know it's gonna start something. So that's obviously like, I think I'm annoyed at him for making that choice. I think it's always been since the whole thing went down, I think it's been like a rocky relationship between us two.
Also, do you think that you're scared to let Chris's mom know that your brother is coming?
Like within this scene, or just like, yeah. I think so, because I'm trying, because like I'm trying to be with Chris. I'm trying to be like, look at me, like I'm a role model human being, and I'm gonna, I'm good for your son. And now it's like, okay, my brother's gonna start drama when he comes here. So I probably don't want to tell her.
Yeah. Good. Okay, Bryce.
Yeah.
So I'm going to switch things up a second. What do you think of
Uh-oh.
yourself?
What do I think of myself?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's a pretty cool dude. No. I do feel guilty. However, I feel like what I did was necessary. Like, not that those pilots needed to die, but necessary for my immediate family, for myself. If I didn't send those things out, I would have lost my like the company would have been dropped, and I wouldn't have been able to recover. I mean, as far as I'm concerned in my head.
Yeah.
And so I think I am guilty, and I feel terrible. And I think,
do you think you're too
really
far into the process now to turn back and admit your wrongs?
Yeah, that's part of it. I also feel like, well, I mean, at the end I shoot myself. I feel like part of the one of the main thing that kept me from doing that in the first place was this idea that, oh, well, if I didn't do this, well, then I'd have nothing. My son would have nothing. My wife would have nothing. Like, my entire legacy would be like everything that I built for because I mean, I grew up in poverty. I'm like a self-made man. And
You don't want to lose your legacy.
I don't want to lose my legacy. And yeah.
Understandable. What do you think of Anne?
What do I think of Anne?
The scene, in relative to the scene itself, up to this point in the show.
Yeah. I think Anne is a fine girl, but I'm wary of her. Because I don't know, like, it's all just, but I'm just like hyper vigilant at this moment, especially, knowing that George is coming. Like, I've had like kind of a rooted kind of weirdness about it. And I mean, I definitely don't care as much that she now has a thing with Chris after Larry died. I mean, I think it's a little weird, but I don't think it's as odd as I'm not as upset by it as my wife is. Mainly it's I'm just afraid that she has some kind of ulterior motive.
Yeah, so you would say that you wouldn't trust her all the way, correct?
Not all the way, no. And I mean, oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
Go ahead, finish your sentence.
Oh, I was just going to say, but I'm really fucking freaked out by her brother.
That he's a lawyer? Or that
that he's a lawyer. Well, both. I mean, he's a lawyer. He's coming here. I mean, this guy has more formal education than me, and like he may be in a position where he knows things, and you know, that he knows like information that could be used against me, and he has the knowledge to use that information against me in a swift and effective way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm afraid for him to come here, because I know that I'm afraid that I wouldn't be able to hold my own. Even though I'm successful, I don't have that like that well, because I know that I did it, and I mean, if he does, he's a fucking lawyer. Like,
okay, finally, what do you think of Kate, your wife?
oh,
Do you guys have a good relationship?
I mean, outwardly, I'd say yes. I love her. At this point, though, I would say it's not that it's obligatory, but I feel like I have to keep this family together, because it's the one thing I have, and I feel very strained. But I'm sorry, Kate, that you're just hearing about this now. But I kind of feel like you're doing this fucking Larry thing to punish me. Like holy shit. Like,
Good. That's good.
I feel I know that, like, that's not, no, she's traumatized, but no, like, I like, part of me is like that
So good.
this is like every day the eagle comes down and eats my liver. Like,
what do you?
Bryce.
That's good, Bryce. That's good.
Thank you.
That's good.
He's traumatized.
What do you guys think are the stakes of this scene? We'll start with the same order. Marisa, you can go first. What are the stakes? Why is this, like, remind you guys, we were at the end of Act 1, and I titled this scene Tension Rises for a reason. I mean, this is a column fucking, climax before everything is about to hit the fucking fan. And why do you think that, like, just what are the stakes? What's at risk here?
So, like, there are multiple times throughout this scene that, like, I could say out loud what we're talking about. Like, we both know what we're talking about. But I just keep, like, spoon feeding it to him because I want him to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many lines that I'm just like, George, you don't know? Like, are you really? Like, come on. And I feel like if he were to say it, I don't know. I feel like our whole facade would, like, break down, because we've had this whole thing up for the whole play, for our whole lives since this thing has happened, where we just pretend nothing's wrong and we pretend that it didn't happen. So if he were to say it, and if it were to come to light, I don't know. I feel like I would just break down in, like, acceptance of the shit show that is the world we live in, our family.
Also, you'd have to accept the illusion of yours that Larry's still alive.
Right. And I think that's another reason why I'm mad at Anne, because Anne kind of
Sorry.
she was supposed to marry Larry, and I loved her when she was supposed to marry Larry. And then she kind of abandoned him because, like, he's still alive to me. He's missing, but he's alive to me. So her, like, marrying Chris now kind of seems like, oh
no.
No, Marisa. Okay. Well, we'll move on. Kenzie.
To jump off of what I think she was about to say is kind of like, well, if
frozen. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
Never mind.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my connection.
You're fine.
But basically, yeah, my whole relationship with my husband could go in flames, with Anne could explode, with Chris could explode, all because we are not talking about the one thing that we're all wanting to talk about.
Good. Kenzie, you're up.
Okay, so what was the question?
What are the stakes? Why is this one so important? What's at risk?
Right, okay. So I think in Anne's perspective, I mean, like, Dad, we're getting married. My brother's coming. Like, that is two very big things. And then you add the turmoil of, like, whatever Kate is going through and whatever Joe is going through in the mix of it all. Like, it's just a clusterfuck. And obviously, I know that she's in denial. I know that Kate's in denial because, like, I've moved on because I'm with Chris now. But, like, you know, that idea that, what are words? Hang on. The idea that, like, he actually is dead. I had it in my brain. The way I worded it was so perfect. Now it's gone.
I always forget what I'm saying on Zoom too. It's okay.
Oh, I know. But, like, yeah, like, because she's in denial of him being dead, it looks like I'm just, like, leaving him for his brother, which is, like, really shitty, just the fact that he's gone. But it's more so because he's dead. And I think that in the mix of just, like, all this, like, sudden turmoil going on is, like, adding to it. It's like just too many things all at once.
Yeah, there is. There's way too many things going on, especially in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce, what do you think the stakes are? Well, we know the stakes for you, but, like, in relative to the scene, what are the stakes? What's at risk?
Well, I mean, this is really the first time where I'm in the play that I'm very, like, seriously worried about my my son figuring out about this, and about, you know, myself being exposed to, you know, and I think it's like, well, I mean, everything is kind of at stake for me. I feel like in my mind, and though this is completely not true, but in Joe's mind, he is living a completely selfless life. And, like, yeah, like he's like, everything I do for my family, and I'm responsible for the deaths of 20 pilots, and I did that so that I could keep making money, and now we have this nice house, and my son has a clear path to just ride off of that success, but he can't find out, otherwise he'll probably fucking disown me, because Jesus Christ, listen to what he's saying about Anne's dad. Like, that makes me really fucking nervous every time he's like, he deserves a kick in the teeth, and, like, whoa. You sure about that? And And I feel like if it collapses, if all this collapses, this like house of fucking cards, like what do I have? I'll like, my entire mark that I've left is like erased, because I lose my business. My family doesn't get any of those spoils or whatever anymore. Like they don't. I no longer am that providing force that, like, I can no longer take my son's successes, and be like, that's also me.
So basically everything is at stake. And
everything.
Everything. Yeah. Good. Very good. That's very good. So I was reading this scene, and I want to go about it in terms of what mental illness do you guys think you have in this scene? How's your head looking right now?
Okay.
And it could be anything from anxiety to schizophrenia, or, just an upset stomach, just like, or you know what I mean? Just what is your illness? What's holding you back? What's keeping you? What's the problem here? You know what I mean? If you don't know what I mean, then I'll explain it differently.
Did you want to like take turns or just like think about that?
You guys, if you want to just think about it, you can. But I feel like there's a lot of panic going on in everyone's heads in this scene. And I feel like this is a very fast-paced scene. And the more we come to recognize, like, why it's so fast-paced because of what each character is doing in this scene, it will help portray that to the Zoom world people. You know what I mean? Like, once we understand why, you're like, yeah, okay, come on. Why? I mean, like, specifically, that line where you and Chris speak at the same time together in unison. Yeah. Why? There's obviously a reason why Arthur Miller wrote that like that. The line exactly, Chris says, "Dad, how could you think that of her?" And you're still on the phone with George, and you said, "But what did he say to you, for God's sake?" Cool. I also read this scene as every time a line is read, there's another level of tension added to the mix. So Kenzie, you described it as like a big clusterfuck, like continuously growing. And that's exactly what I think this scene is. And I think every time a new character is added, you have a totally different group of clusterfucking coming into the scene, right? And so you start off with Keller and Chris in the scene. You have those two clusterfucks playing off each other, already bringing this tension to a boil, heating it up. And then you have Anne, who's on the phone. You can't see her, but she's just kind of like in the background, you know? She is adding to this mix without even being on stage right now. And it's just like, why is this? We can hear it. Like, this is a lot. This is already so much going on because you have a total different conversation going at the same time as Keller and Chris. So there's two different levels of tension going on now in two different relationships. Then you add that when Anne gets off the phone with George, and comes into the scene. And now not only Anne is in the scene, but Kate comes out of the house too. Now she's there. Oh shit, now I can't say anything. She can't know nothing either. She's crazy. We got to keep this. Now the three of you, Anne, Chris, and Keller, or Joe, are all together on the same side saying, let's not tell Mom anything yet. That's one thing we fucking can't do right now. This is like Modern Family, or like, what was it? What was that show? Full House. It was like, we got to side with one person in the family so the other family member can't find out. It's just all this family drama and emotional attachment. And, you know, in terms of grief and mental illness, this scene is insane. And we've been playing it really slow, only because we have, like, what, 2 rehearsals? Like, 2 very quick rehearsals that have not really been of any help understand this scene, but hopefully we can conclude that today. You haven't really had a chance to understand and play with the aspects of, like, pacing. I think pacing is a very good thing in this scene that needs to be played with, and the fast pace of it will really aid in portraying all this cluster fuckiness, for lack of a better word. Also, I want to talk about tactics with you, Bryce. I keep mentioning this in every rehearsal, but we don't talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. Tactics. Every line that you and Chris have up until the point of Anne coming on stage, you are using a tactic, a mental fuckery to Chris. It's all mind games. It is all mind games. And every time there is a change in power between you and Chris. So, like, you play off his emotions a lot. First, you go in and you're like, George is calling from Columbus. And then Chris is like, Columbus? And then you say, did Andy tell you he was going to see his father today? Now you're just trying to dig up information. You're just trying to figure shit out, right? You're trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to get into his head a little bit.
Yeah.
And you say, you think you know her well?
I'm like kind of trying to almost get her to, like, distrust her.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even with, like, did Andy tell you he was going to see his father today? Like, oh, like, Andy's hiding things from you, Chris. Like, holy, yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to inflict doubt in every situation so you can figure out what you want to know, what you think you need to know to keep this swept under the rug. And basically, you're manipulating everybody in this scene. It's just, you're grasping at straws and you don't really care about the feelings of other people. You're caring ultimately in your sick, twisted head that I need to do this for my family. I'm the provider, right?
Yeah.
And when every time Chris comes back to you and says, what kind of question? You go, oh, I'm just wondering, you know, all these years, suddenly he goes and he comes here. And it's just like all continuously. And there's another one. So I would just like to go through with you real quick and talk about starting from Chris is coming from Columbus. And every time you see a change in a tactic, shout it out, okay?
Right.
I'm just going to read the lines. Actually, Marisa, this would be good for you. Can you read for Chris?
Yeah.
I'll read your lines, Bryce, okay? And
okay.
I want you to shout it out where you think a tactic is.
Sure, yeah. Like what I think the tactic is or where I think it changes?
Both.
Okay, sure.
Just shout it out. You can cut into us. So we're starting from Marisa. I'm glad, Chris. I'm just, George is calling from Columbus.
Okay.
You see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can just start by saying Columbus, actually.
Okay. Columbus?
Did Annie tell you he was going to see his father today?
No, I don't think she...
Oh, he's seeding doubt there.
Yeah.
No, I don't think she said anything about it.
Chris, you think you know her pretty good?
What kind of question?
I'm just wondering. All these years, George don't go to see his father. Suddenly he goes, and she comes here.
Well, what about it?
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it comes to my mind. She don't hold nothing against me, does she?
I suppose. I mean, what a thing that he's doing a lot here is, like, in the last line and here is he's like kind of I don't know, like belittling or diminishing the things that he's saying to make himself sound more reasonable. Like, oh, well, I mean, it's probably all crazy, but she is plotting against me.
It's kind of like you guys ever been in a relationship when you are talking to somebody or you're dating somebody and they think that you're cheating on them or something, and they're just like, so you hung out with Grace the other day, right? How do you think that she likes me? What does she think of our relationship? Do you trust her? It's just like it's mind games. You're trying to figure stuff out because you have this whole scenario set up in your head already.
Yeah.
Where were we, Marisa, in this text?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm just talking. To his last day in court, the man blamed it all on me, and this is his daughter. I mean, if she was sent here to find out something.
Why? What is there to find out?
Why are you so excited, George? What happened there?
I mean, if they want to open up the case again for the nuance value to hurt us.
Dad.
But what did he say to you, for God's sake?
Think that of her.
That was good. That was good. I like the way you guys did that. Totally, it was totally natural. I just want to. I really like that actually. With Mike, it was just like, okay, 1, 2, 3. That just flowed so nicely together. Okay, so what happened was Kenzie had started saying her line before you came in and said your line, and so it ended with, "Dad, how could you think that of her?" And you, the audience, or I, heard that, and it was just like, oh shit, what's going on here? So Kenzie, remember for that line, say it earlier. Don't try to wait for Mike.
Okay, so with the context of Zoom potentially lagging and stuff like that, so like as soon as I hear the end of that line, let me just jump to it regardless.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because like lagging is a thing and so weird whenever you translate it online. So, okay, good to know.
We also run the risk of like someone's internet not working tomorrow.
Right.
There's so many risks right now with online, but whatever. Okay, Marisa, where were
could be
Yeah.
It could be
Dad, you amaze me.
All right, forget it. I want a clean start for you, Chris. I want a new sign over the plant, Christopher Keller Incorporated.
J.O. Keller is good enough.
We'll talk about it. I'm going to build you a house, stone, with a driveway from the road. I want you to spread out, Chris. I want you to use what I made for you. I mean, with joy, Chris. Without shame, with joy.
Well, now he's totally guilting him, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
He's like talking about all these dreams and ambitions he has for his son.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I did this for you, and now this is everything. Here it is. This is I'm going to do all this. You're going to live to life. But, Chris,
I make you all this money. You tell me you don't want any. Just...
Exactly. Go ahead, Marisa.
I will, Dad.
Say it to me.
Why?
Because sometimes I think you're ashamed of the money.
No, don't feel that.
Because it's good money. There's nothing wrong with that money.
Oh my God. Well, that's like, I mean, I don't know if that's even him. That's not him being like conniving. That's just him being fucking paranoid.
Exactly.
Because nobody's insinuating that the money is bad.
No.
It's like, God.
It's like every time these lines happen, Bryce, you are changing in your head and you're like, okay, that tactic didn't work. Let's try this one. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, now I'm freaking out a little bit more. What the fuck? They're gonna find out, You're like, you're grasping at straws. I think the last one, we'll just do this last tactic here, Marisa, so go ahead.
Okay. Dad, you don't have to tell me this.
Look, Chris, I'll go to work on Mother for you. We'll get her so drunk tonight, we'll all get married. There's gonna be a wedding, kid, like there was never seen. Champagne, tuxedos. Bryce.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, here he's just being Mr. Agreeable. Like, it's like, forget all that like weird accusatory shit I just said about your girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Mr. Magnanimous. And I always have been. So what are you talking about? It's, yeah.
I love that line in this scene for the simple fact that it's like after all this shit happened that he just said about Anne, now he's like, I love your girlfriend. I'll take care of everything. I'll take care of Mom. We'll figure that all out. It's gonna be fucking champagne, tuxedos, the whole 9 yards. Like, we're going in it. I love this girl. But actually, in reality, what he's doing is he's trying to accept, because he realized none of the tactics worked on Chris, because Chris has a newfound confidence and is starting to realize that my dad ain't fucking right in the head. And I'm kind of sick and tired of him, making me feel bad if I don't want to take this business. And it just, Chris has this, this burden on him, like he has to take over this business, but.
Yeah.
So that was good. That was good. I think we did a really good job, but one more thing before we start reading these scenes. What do you guys think your objective is individually after everything we talked about? It's a hard question.
Mm-hmm.
Or would you guys prefer reading it a couple times and then me asking later so you guys have time to think about it?
Well, I know what my objective is, like, abstractly. You know what I mean? Because like I'm trying to maintain a status quo. I mean, I'm trying to maintain a status quo in the greater picture of things. I'm trying to hold everything together the way I've neatly tied it up. But I particularly with Chris, I want to make sure that he's on my side. And I want to make sure, and I mean, I don't think I succeed, but I'm trying to like seed in his mind that, if something comes of this, that doesn't mean that I'm in the wrong. Mm-hmm. And like trying to make him like talking about, oh, if they open the case for the nuisance value, like, oh, they're trying to get at me. And then when I'm talking to Kate, when I'm talking to Kate, I mainly I feel like I'm outwardly trying to show her that I have a cool head, but I think I'm trying to convince myself more than anyone, and like that I have it under control. Like I'm trying to.
Let me simplify this question for sake of time. Just what do you guys want in this scene? What do you want? What do you want?
I think for Anne, for me, I want everyone to like me. I want to make sure I get everyone's approval and that I can get married.
Good.
That's
Good.
it.
Good.
And that's like with George and also with like the whole family too.
Very good.
I feel like I kind of wanna scare Joe. Like our whole interaction, I'm trying to get him to realize the severity of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to, I think I'm tired of protecting him, so I don't think I'm necessarily protecting him. I think I'm protecting my feelings and my feelings of my son being alive. But at the same time, even though I think he's alive, I in the back of my mind know he's not. So I think that I'm trying to scare Joe in the same way that I'm scared of talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
No, it's perfect sense. Bryce, I'm pretty sure we all know what you want out of the scene. We've talked about it a million different times. You want to keep the shit swept underneath the rug.
Yeah.
You don't want you want to keep the dogs at bay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
when I first was making notes in this scene, I wrote down the characters and I did a little thought that came to my mind about each character. For Chris, it was newfound confidence to stand up to his dad and, get married with the love of his life and move on, basically. Bryce was keep the dogs at bay, or Joe. And Anne's was let's get away. Mm-hmm. And Kate was don't burst my bubble. Your illusionary bubble. But anyways,
Mm-hmm.
just let's read through this. It's going to be hard without Mike here, but I have full faith Marisa can do this.
All right, are we starting from go ahead, Anne?
No, we're going to start at the beginning of the scene, which is we're getting married, Dad. Well, don't you say anything, okay. Which is at the middle of 388, the first beginning of the scene.
Okay.
And I don't know if I want you guys to turn your cameras on and off, or if I do, just for sake of continuity. So we're going to do it. Kenzie, you and I are going to shut our cameras off for them.
Okay, cool.
Okay. We're getting married, Dad. Well, don't you say anything?
I'm glad, Chris. George is calling from Columbus.
Columbus?
Did Annie tell you he was going to see his father today?
No, I don't think she knew anything about it.
Chris, you think you know her pretty good?
What kind of question?
I'm just wondering. All these years, George don't go to see his father. Suddenly he goes, and she comes here.
Well, what about it?
Well, it's just crazy, but it comes to my mind. She don't hold nothing against me, does she?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking. To his last day in court, that man blamed it all on me, and this is his daughter. I mean, what if she was sent here to find out something?
Why? What is there to find out?
Why are you so excited, George? What happened there?
I mean, if they want to open up the case again for the nuisance value to hurt us.
Dad.
What did he say to you?
How could you think that of her?
Couldn't be, huh? You know.
Dad, you amaze me.
All right, forget it. Forget it. I want a clean start with you, Chris. I want a new sign over the plans. Christopher Keller Incorporated.
J.O. Keller is good enough.
Oh, we'll talk about it. I'm going to build you a home with a driveway out from the road. I want you to spread out, Chris. I want you to use what I made for you. I mean with joy, Chris. Not shame, with joy.
I will, Dad.
Say it to me.
Why?
Because sometimes I think you're ashamed of the money.
No, don't feel that.
Because it's good money. There's nothing wrong with that money.
Bre, did you want me to keep going?
Yeah, just do this line.
Dad, you don't have to tell me this.
Look, Chris, I'll go to work on your mom for you. We'll get her so drunk tonight we'll all get married, huh? There's gonna be a wedding, kid, like there never was seen before. Champagne, tuxedos, just...
Simply because when you get excited, you don't control yourself. Well, what did he tell you, for God's sake? All right, come then. Yes, they'll all be here. Nobody's running away from you. And try to get a hold of yourself, will you? All right, goodbye.
Okay, stop. Everyone stop for a second. I want to rewind a couple things. Just fix it early on. Kenzie, when you say this last line you said, don't turn on your camera till after you finish saying that, when you say goodbye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
okay, so
what?
when I say goodbye, I pop back on?
Yeah, like it's like you came out of the house now.
Gotcha.
When Chris says to you, Joe, Dad, you amaze me. I want you to have this sudden train of thought where it's like, okay, maybe that didn't, let's try something. All right, forget it. You know what I mean? I want you, and then when you start talking to him about Keller Incorporated, I want you to like paint the vision for him.
Mm-hmm.
Wide gestures in those couple lines there. Keller, it's gonna be great, son. You're gonna love it. Yeah, good. So I want to take it back a little bit, and I want to take it. You can keep your camera on, Marisa, because I know that was a little bit of a quickness for you to jump back in there.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if you wanted me to do that or not.
Yeah, that's okay. I want to take it back to Anne off stage on the first page that said, "Why are you so excited, George? What happened there?"
You want to do the camera thing again, just for practice?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. I'll read Chris's lines, Marisa, so you don't have to.
Okay, so we're starting at mine. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Why are you so excited, George? What happened there?
I mean, if they want to open up the nuisance, the case again, for the nuisance value to hurt us.
But what did he say to you, for God's sake?
Dad, how could you think that of her? Sorry.
Could be. You know.
Dad, you amaze me.
All right, forget it. I want a clean start with you, Chris. I want a new sign over the plant. Christopher Keller Incorporated.
J.O. Keller is good enough.
We'll talk about it. I'm gonna build you a house, stone with a driveway from the road. I want you to spread out, Chris. I want you to use what I made for you. I mean, with joy, Chris, without shame, with joy.
Bryce, when you say that line, can you come a little bit closer to the camera? Like you're looking
sure.
into him and be like, with joy. Like
Sure.
Hypothetical, get in his face. Get in the camera.
Sure, yeah.
So you want to do that line?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, we'll talk about it. And I'm going to build you a house. Stone with a driveway to the road. Chris, I want you to use what I made for you. I want you to spread out. Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh, my dear Jesus. We're keeping it, right?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Choices were made.
Made.
There we are. Anyway.
You want to do that again?
Sure, yeah. We'll talk about it. But I'm going to build you a house, Chris. Stone, driveway out to the road. I want you to spread out. I want you to use what I made for you. Huh? I mean, with joy, Chris. Without shame, with joy.
I will, Dad.
Say it to me.
Why?
Because sometimes I think you're ashamed of the money.
No, don't feel that.
Because it's good money. There's nothing wrong with the money.
Dad, you don't have to tell me this.
Look, Chris, I'm going to work on Mom for you. Get her so drunk that we'll all get married. It's going to be a wedding kid like none there ever was. Champagne, tuxedos.
Simply because when you get excited, you don't control yourself. Well, what did he tell you, for God's sake? All right, come then. Yes, they'll all be here. Nobody's running away from you. And try to get a hold of yourself, will you? All right. All right, goodbye.
Something happened?
He's coming here?
On the 7 o'clock. He's in Columbus. I told him it would be all right.
Sure, fine. Your father's, took sick?
No, George didn't say he was sick.
Lord Jesus.
No, George didn't say he was sick. I don't know. I suppose it's something stupid, you know, my brother. Let's go for a drive or something.
Sure. Give me the keys, Dad.
Drive through the park. It's beautiful now.
Come on, Anne. Be back right away.
See ya.
Take your time. Huh? What does George want?
He's been in Columbus since this morning with Steve. He's got to see Annie right away, he says.
What for?
I don't know. George is a lawyer now, Joe. George is a lawyer. All these years, not even sent a postcard since he got back from the war, not a postcard.
So what?
Suddenly, he takes an airplane from New York to see him. An airplane.
Well, so?
Why?
I don't read minds. Do you?
Why, Joe? What has Steve suddenly got to tell him that he takes an airplane to see him?
What do I care? What Steve's got to tell him?
You're sure, Joe?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Be smart now, Joe. The boy is coming. Be smart.
Once and for all, did you hear what I said? I said I'm sure.
All right, Joe, just be smart.
Oh, Bryce.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this to you.
Oh, I have this exit.
Yeah, you have an exit. And what I was talking to Marisa about before you got in the Zoom call was I wanted to try something at the end of this scene because you have, you know, you go off into this hopeless fury and then you storm into the house and you make this big bang off the screen door.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a telltale sign that you're fucking mad and you don't know what to do, right? But what I had the idea of, since we're on Zoom, was having Marisa say, all right, Joe, but be smart, Joe. And then you just fucking, while you're still on camera, you go, you just have like this moment of fucking fury, and then you shut off your camera and you make this big loud bang off screen.
Yeah, all right.
Could be on your table, could be anywhere. And then
Sure.
it has this moment when nobody else is on the Zoom call, everyone's blacked out, and Marisa just takes like this sigh, and she like looks off into the distance above her camera probably, and then she'll shut off her camera, concluding the scene. It could be stupid, could not work, could be gone awry, and people think that Bryce is seriously injured or something like that. But I would like to try it.
Okay. I'll be on my laptop tomorrow. I don't know what's going on, but I haven't been, something wrong with my fucking email on my laptop, which is why I had to do this from my phone. But I'll have it. So you won't be like seeing my hand in this weird like way that you are now.
That's cool. That's cool. I would like to run the scene again, but instead of focusing on like entrances and exits, so you guys can all keep your camera on, I want you guys to focus on the pacing.
Okay.
And I'll just read for Chris, so you can focus on just Kate. So we're gonna start at the top again. We're getting married, Dad. Well, don't you say anything?
I'm glad, Chris. I'm just, George is calling from Columbus.
Columbus?
Did Annie tell you he was going to see his father today?
No, I don't think she knew anything about it.
Chris, you think you know her pretty good?
What kind of question?
I'm just wondering, all these years, George don't go to see his father, and suddenly he goes and she comes here.
Well, what about it?
Oh, it's crazy. What comes to my mind is she don't hold nothing against me, does she?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking. To his last day in court, that man swore he blamed it all on me, and this is his daughter. I mean, if she was sent here to find out something.
Why? What is there to find out?
Why are you so excited, George? What happened there?
I mean, if they were to open up the case again for the nuisance value, to hurt us.
Well, what did he say to you, for God's sake?
Well, couldn't be, huh? You know.
Dad, you amaze me.
All right, forget it. I want a clean start with you, Chris. I want a new sign over the plant. Christopher Keller Incorporated.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't worry.
J.L. Keller is good enough.
Blech. My God. Oh, we'll talk about it. I'm going to build you a house. Stone with a driveway out to the road. I want you to spread out, Chris. I want you to use what I made for you. I mean, with joy, Chris. Not shame. Joy.
I will, Dad.
Well, say it to me.
Why?
Because sometimes I think you're ashamed of the money.
No, don't feel that.
Because it's good money, Chris. There's nothing wrong with that money.
Dad, you don't have to tell me this.
Look, Chris, I'll go to work on Mother for you. We'll get her so drunk that we'll all get married. There's going to be a wedding kid like none you've ever seen, champagne, tuxedos.
Simply because when you get excited, you don't control yourself. Well, what did he tell you, for God's sake? All right, come then. Yes, they'll all be here. Nobody's running away from you. And try to get a hold of yourself, will you? All right. All right, goodbye.
Something happened?
He's coming here?
On the 7 o'clock. He's in Columbus. I told him it would be all right.
Sure. Fine. Your father took sick?
No, George didn't say he was sick. I don't know. I suppose it's something stupid. You know my brother. Let's go for a drive or something.
Sure. Give me the keys, Dad.
Drive through the park. It's beautiful now.
Come on, Anne. Be back right away.
See ya.
Take your time.
What are you doing?
What? I have a rehearsal.
For how long?
I don't. Well, they're on the call, right? Yeah. Well, okay. I'm in the middle of a scene. What does George want?
Okay.
Sorry.
Bryce, you need to go?
Oh no, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. He's been in Columbus since this morning with Steve. He's got to see Annie right away, he says.
What for?
I don't know. He's a lawyer now, Joe. George is a lawyer. All these years, he never even sent a postcard to Steve. Since he got back from the war, not a postcard.
Oh, so what?
Suddenly he takes an airplane from New York to see him. An airplane?
Well, so?
Why?
Well, I don't read minds, do you?
Why, Joe? What has Steve suddenly got to tell him that he takes an airplane to see him?
What do I care what Steve's got to tell him?
You're sure, Joe?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Be smart now, Joe. The boy's coming. Be smart.
Once and for all, did you hear what I said? I said, I'm sure.
All right, Joe, just be smart.
All right. You don't have to shut your camera off, Bryce.
Okay.
That last line, when you say, did you hear what I said? I'm fine. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Can you, like, yell that?
Yeah, sure.
Or, like, loudly punch that line? Because I want the scene has to go out with a fucking bang, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to wrap things up pretty quickly, but I want to run this scene one more time. We're going to do the entrances and exits all together. And be like mindful of the fact that with every line, tension is building and everything is becoming more and more intense. And so with that said, don't be hesitant if you have the instinct to fucking yell something or to get mad all of a sudden when you're talking, having this conversation to somebody. Do it. You know what I mean? Just go for it.
I got a question.
What's the question?
So, on the 7 o'clock, he's in Columbus line. I refer to Kate.
Yes.
How are we gonna do that?
I've been thinking about that actually.
Yeah.
And I've realized that, first of all, where am I placed on everyone's screen? That's what
Well, wait, does that help?
No, because I see myself up there. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not going to be in the same placement when we're in class, because when I have everyone in the Zoom call turn off their videos, we're all going to be in different spots.
It like pops up.
Yeah. So what I was thinking was that having the reaction to the character that you're talking to, have them nod or something like that, like they heard you, like Keiko, instead.
There you go.
So everyone's just going to be talking to the camera. Like you're talking to that person. You just expect a reaction from that person you're talking to get what you just said to them.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah. Sound good.
You guys been doing good.
Sorry if you heard the ambulance in the back. I'll try to mute it if...
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It was so loud. Okay, cool.
Bryce, does it help with my camera on, or would you prefer to run the scene with my camera off and me just reading the lines?
I think it would help. It helps with your camera on, to be honest.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so remember we're doing all the run-throughs, the entrances and exits. Yeah. That is. Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Cool. We're getting married, Dad. Well, don't you say anything?
I'm glad, Chris. George is coming from Columbus.
Columbus?
Did Annie tell you he was going to see his father today?
No, I don't think she knew anything about it.
Chris, you think you know her pretty good?
What kind of question?
I'm just wondering. All those years, George don't go to see his father, and suddenly he goes and she comes here?
Well, what about it?
It's crazy, but it comes to my mind. She don't hold nothing against me, does she?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking. To his last day in court, the man blamed it all on me, and this is his daughter. I mean, what if she was sent to find something out?
Why? What is there to find out?
Why are you so excited, George? What happened there?
I mean, if they want to open up the case again, for the nuisance value to hurt us.
Dad, how could you?
What did he
that
say
of
to you,
her?
for God's sake?
Oh, couldn't be, huh? You know?
Dad, you amaze me.
All right. Forget it. I want a clean start with you, Chris. I want a new sign over the plans. Christopher Keller Incorporated.
J.O. Keller is good enough.
We'll talk about it. I'm going to build you a home. Stone, driveway out to the road. I want you to spread out, Chris. I want you to use what I made for you. I mean, with joy, Chris. Without shame. With joy.
I will, Dad.
Well, say it to me.
Why?
Because sometimes I think you're ashamed of the money.
No, don't feel that.
Well, because it's good money, Chris. There's nothing wrong with that money.
Dad, you don't have to tell me this.
Look, Chris, I'll go to work on Mom for you. We'll get her so drunk tonight, we'll all get married. Huh? There's gonna be a wedding, kid. Like none you've ever seen. Champagne, tuxedos.
Simply because when you get excited, you don't control yourself. Well, what did he tell you, for God's sake? All right, come then. Yes, they'll all be here. Nobody's running away from you. And try to get a hold of yourself, will you? All right. All right, goodbye.
Did something happen?
He's coming here.
On the 7 o'clock. He's in Columbus. I told him it would be all right.
Sure, fine. Your father took sick?
No, George didn't say he was sick. I don't know. I suppose it's something stupid. You know my brother. Let's go for a drive or something.
Sure. Give me the keys, Dad.
Drive through the park. It's beautiful now.
Come on, Anne. Be back right away.
See ya.
Take your time. What does George want?
He's been in Columbus since this morning with Steve. He's got to see Annie right away, he says.
What for?
I don't know. He's a lawyer now, Joe. George is a lawyer. All these years, never even sent a postcard to Steve. Since he got back from the war, not a postcard.
So what?
Suddenly, he takes an airplane from New York to see him. An airplane?
Well, so?
Why?
Well, I don't read minds. Do you?
Why, Joe? What has Steve suddenly got to tell him that he takes an airplane to see him?
What do I care what Steve has got to tell him?
You're sure, Joe?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Be smart, Joe. The boy is coming. Be smart.
Once and for all, did you hear what I said? I said I'm sure.
All right, Joe, just be smart.
Bang. No.
Bang.
Good job, guys. I really enjoyed that.
Work on that.
I was
Thank you.
going to have Marisa and Bryce work on the very end of that scene because I want to see a physical reaction to Kate telling you what to do before you have that big, did you hear what I said? Like,
Yeah.
I want that to be your breaking point. So like you start to physically get uncomfortable with the fact that she's telling you what to do and how to handle the situation, because you're the man of the house who's trying to have everything under wraps. So everything else is good. I like everything else that we have done so far, and thank you all so much for doing this. Just this very end part, Marisa and Bryce, when you guys have your little exchange after we leave, me and Kate and Anne and Kate and Anne and Chris leave. Like Bryce said, when he was describing the relationship between you two, make him feel like you're digging at him, like you're putting him through hell, like you do.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And Bryce, physically get uncomfortable with every line she tells you what to do. And then you have a breaking point. Make it build. I want it to build before it breaks. Cool? And then we'll be done.
All right.
Cool.
From what line?
Let's go from
What does George want?
yeah, exactly. Good.
Okay.
What does George want?
He's been in Columbus since this morning with Steve. He's got to see Annie right away, he says.
What for?
I don't know. He's a lawyer now, Joe. George is a lawyer. All these years, never even sent a postcard to see Steve. Since he got back from the war, not a postcard.
So what?
Suddenly he takes an airplane from New York to see him. An airplane.
So?
Why?
I don't read minds, do you?
Oh, why, Joe? What does Steve suddenly got to tell him that he takes an airplane to see him?
What do I care what Steve has got to tell him?
Oh, you're sure, Joe?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Be smart now, Joe. The boy is coming. Be smart.
Once and for all, did you hear what I said? I said I'm sure.
All right, Joe, just be smart.
Good job.
Oh my God.
Good job.
There we go.
I like that. It was really good. You guys did wonderful. I'm very excited to see this tomorrow, and I think the fact that it is on Zoom, I mean, it's the way of the world now. So might as well be the first pioneers into it, I guess. We are set to perform at 12:20 tomorrow, and the scene's super short. Fuck, I just remembered I was supposed to run the time of that show. Whatever. Whatever. It's beyond me now. But yeah, so 12:20, I will send you guys. Bryce was already going to be there, but I will send you two the link for Zoom call. You guys can be there early if you'd like, or you could join around, like, I would say 12:10 to be safe, based upon I'll text you guys if things are moving quicker or something, obviously, like I did with Kenzie. But yeah, and I'm going to send Mike a copy of this rehearsal because I recorded it so he can be all caught up too. Cool?
Cool.
Very good.
Cool.
Thank you so much, guys.